Guess what? We're recording.
What? Hello.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks for tuning
Episode 2.
in. Done. Hello and welcome to Accessory to Thought. Today's topic will be the nature and origin of truth and how it is that we define truth as... we find it quite difficult to sort of pin it down, get it sort of under wraps because, you could just say, well, truth is as easy as saying, oh, he's sitting down because I can see he's sitting down, but we're sort of asking the questions like absolute truth and subjective truth and what it is for things to really mean something.
Well, more... Not so much truth in an objective... Well... Not that kind of truth as in fact, this is true. Not that kind. I'm gonna try and approach it from a different angle to what way we can relate to it in our daily lives. Would you agree with that?
Go on.
Right. So I'm gonna start off by saying, truth is that which agrees with reality. You can live your life. And for example, if you're living a truthful life, everything sort of makes sense. You're not delusioned with what's happening around you. And then if you're living an untruthful manner, mode of being, then I guess that would imply that you're in some sort of delusion from reality because what you think does not agree with reality. But this goes to my next point. So I'm going to talk about speech and how that relates to truth. So we, as humans, we can transform chaos into being through speech. What does this mean? There's lots of depictions in mythology that like the tongue is like a sword, right? And in many ways that's true. Again, not in the objective sense necessarily, but it's true because it agrees with reality. Because our speech is our most important tool. In the Bible, it talks about God speaking the world into existence. That we're not going to take that lightly. Speech is very powerful, and our speech. So when I say we can transform chaos into being through speech, if you imagine like every in a sea of possibilities, and that would be chaos, right? And then we can, through our speech, we can change what reality is, if that makes sense. For example, policeman shows up your door, says, "Sorry to say this, but your son has been involved in an accident and he's dead."
Oh.
Right? Now, the objective reality has not changed from that one second to the next, right? Your son was dead the second before, and your son was dead the second after. But through that speech, he's completely changed your reality. You know what I mean? Because one day you might be happy as Larry, next second, you're distraught. So you're in a different place there.
But is that
realistically?
Is that because of the police officer's speech, or is that because of the truth that your son is being killed?
Well, I get the policeman's just conveying the truth, but my point is that policeman changed this other person's reality, basically, just by speaking.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to think about. So I would say if speech can bring about reality or change reality, to tell the truth would be the most habitable form of reality. So if you tell the truth, that would be the best possible option, is what that means. So this sort of ties in with the last episode with morality and the conscience, when I say always follow your conscience. If you always follow your conscience, that would be sort of walking in the way of truth, I guess. And then I said the best possible outcome, even if it doesn't necessarily make sense, would be to follow your conscience. I guess it's similar here. To tell the truth would be the best possible way forward. And this is going to lead to my next point. So really, what is this truth I'm talking about? What is this truth that brings the most habitable form of reality into being? All right. So Proverbs 27, verse 14 says, "Whoever blesses his neighbor with a loud voice, rising early in the morning, will be counted as cursing." This brings in a whole another element of what truth can be. So I would say be very careful with your speech, and to make sure it embodies the nature of truth. So I would say you go to your friend and say you're really ugly. You're really ugly.
Aww.
Wow, you're so ugly. When I look at you, I feel a shiver down my spine. You're so ugly.
Alright.
Hey, what if it was actually true, right?
Damn.
Objectively. Just say he was right. This person is really ugly. I would like to say that's not the embodiment of truth, if that's what they're saying. It may be objectively true that this person is ugly, right? Or whatever the thing is, right? It may be objectively true. But it's this essence of truth that I want to talk about. Because if truth is the most habitable form of reality, is it the most habitable? Is it the best way forward to basically insult this person? Probably not. To be honest, probably not. Proverbs 15, verse 1: "A soft word turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." The proverb is basically saying, be soft in your speech, be careful, don't lose.
Don't rile people up.
Yeah, your objective is to find a way forward for everyone, not just you, if that makes sense. You can shout at someone all you want about even if they're doing something wrong, you shout at them all you want. But if the best way forward would be to embody that essence of truth.
Yeah.
Is what I believe this proverb's talking about. A soft word turns away wrath. So that's what. Do you have anything to add at the minute? No. Okay. And then my next point. Honest conflict is better than dishonest harmony. Winning an argument is in an argument, fixing the problem is winning. It's not actually winning the argument, because if you're really smart and you're arguing against someone who's not as smart as you, you could the person who's smarter could probably easily win an argument with this person, no matter what the point is, even if they're wrong. But that would not be the best way forward. That wouldn't embody the essence of truth. So fixing the problem would be like winning the argument, I guess. Because think about it. If you're say you're having an argument with your spouse over something, you could choose option 1, defeat them in the argument and be the victor of that argument. And lots of people do that. But where does that leave you? You've won the argument,
Now you're even more distant than you were.
but your spouse is now, you may be the victor in that moment, but your spouse is the loser in that moment, and that doesn't feel like winning. It's like, yeah, I won the argument, but you're married to a loser now.
One way of looking at it.
Yeah, 'cause you have to live with this person. Would you not rather both be winners?
Ooh. Josh,
So-
the marriage counselor.
So it's this essence of truth I'm talking about that we need to embody.
So how would you define this essence of truth? What is this essence?
It's it's having a deep desire to find the best way forward. That is not self-centered, I guess. So, I guess love would be sum that up. I didn't get to talk much about what I said before. Honest conflict is better than dishonest harmony. Say there's a problem. I'm going to talk about marriage here, right?
Okay.
There's a problem in your marriage, and there's two ways of going about it. You could either meet it head on, or you could just cover up. One is very hard, right? So you say there's a problem. It's difficult to fix problems. You know, it's not easy, it's hard. It's painful to fix problems, right? And it can be easy to just ignore things. But honest conflict, which would be, I want to fix this problem because I want to be in a better place. I want you to be in a better place as well, if I'm talking to your spouse, right? Now we need to go through this torment to be in the better place. Opposed to dishonest harmony. You know, it may be peaceful on the surface, but you're just walking on eggshells. It's dishonest. You know.
Well, if I may interrupt there for a second, I would offer. Well, you talk about this idea of dishonest harmony, but as far as I'm aware of, you see lots and lots of people being happy with the kinds of lies, not like the non-truths that they're facing. So just for an example, imagine you were just sitting at home and a friend came up to you and your friend said, "Josh, I'm dead," and you were like, "Well, of course you're not dead. You're speaking to me, you're walking, you're talking, and blah 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 blah." But it gets to the point where he or she's always saying, "No, no, 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 I'm dead. I just believe that I'm dead." So it gets to the point where you pick up the 3 main medical textbooks in the world. Everyone believes these, and they all say that dead people can't bleed. So you just prick your friend's finger, and lo and behold, they bleed. What do they say? Do they say, "Oh, after all the evidence, yeah, you're right, they should"? But what if they say, "Oh, the book's wrong"? Like, what would you say to that person who is just so wrapped up in their beliefs that this is what they believe, this is their kind of truth, this is a dishonest harmony? Surely it would be easier to just live peaceful beside each other, to accept that that person is who they are. And how would you go about with that kind of situation?
How would I go about the situation? My friend has told me
Well,
he's dead.
Well, that was just a story. But how do you go about a situation where you know in your heart that people who you know are living in ways that just don't make sense, that do not follow the truth, so they're living in a dishonest harmony because you're clearly friends? How do you combat that? Because you've said better to live in honest conflict than dishonest harmony.
Yeah.
The vast majority of people would.
So if someone well, I guess this leads to my next point or quote. So Proverbs 27 verse 6: "Faithful are the winds of a friend, profuse are the kisses of an enemy." if you've got a friend and they're really a friend, well, I'd say the definition of a friend is someone who wants the best for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. What a friend is. If this person wants the best for you, you know what whatever they do is for the benefit of you, right? So, faithful are the ones of a friend. In mythology, the idea of the phoenix. In order for this phoenix to get be a big fancy bird, I guess.
Fancy bird.
It needs to be reborn. When it needs to be reborn, right? It goes up in flames. So that's the idea that being reborn is painful. It takes away parts of you, but you're better on the other side.
Yeah.
So if a friend's telling you something that's really hurtful, but if they're a friend, meaning they want the best for you, you know it's out of this truth that I'm talking about.
That love.
Yeah, it's the love, I guess. So if they're coming to you with a problem that's very, very hurtful to hear, that you should be listening to it, cause if they're wanting the best for you, because it'll be hard for them to do that if it hurts you, but it must be important. And then the opposite side, profuse are the kisses of an enemy. If an enemy, meaning if someone who doesn't want the best for you, is treating you nice, all of a sudden, like overly nice, suspicious. What are their real motives here? They could be just hiding something. So if you're talking about someone who is living a dishonest harmony, is basically what you asked.
Yeah.
So someone who's not acting what they believe to be true for the sake of peace. What would I say to that person? Is what your question is.
Well, it's not that they know how they're acting is dishonest. It's the fact that they believe wholeheartedly that this is a decent way to live. This is right. In that analogy, when clearly most people would say it's clearly wrong, but for the sake of harmony, would you not so much tolerate it, but do nothing about it? Or would you actively try and, I guess, rescue that person and show them the truth? But even if you do, surely they'll just say, oh, but I still believe in all of that. And I guess what you said about being born again actually is quite good, because it's not so much as focusing on a person's flaws, not so much as focusing on a person's dishonest sort of harmony with themselves, with what they're doing in life. This idea of being born again is not so much as looking at what they believe in and arguing with it and telling them no, but really just getting to, let's look at it. Your friends, there's a start. You support each other. You clearly have an influence on each other. If they are coming to talk to you about these sort of personal things, and the best thing we can do is use truth to help that person along. And I guess it's about supporting that person. You're never going to just suddenly, if somebody believed wholeheartedly, let's say that they were dead.
Yeah.
And at first we might laugh, but they may feel like that way the whole time. What happens? How do we solve that as their friend?
Well, if they're my friend, I'm gonna reach out that all of the help that I could realistically give. But if they're not, if they're ignoring that, just blatantly ignoring it, I guess. There's not much you can do, I guess. So if you offer up all the help you have, I like, if someone holds a belief or something, if they're doing something that I find wrong, and if they're my friend, I would confront them about it. I'd say this is what I think that's happening.
But what makes your say truth better than their truth? Is it purely out of majority, or is it like who
Well,
wins that kind of argument?
Well, I'm gonna answer the first question first. So, as in, what would I do? So I go to them, confront them about it. But you know, if they don't change, then there's not much you can do. Because if you keep it going, you're gonna end up devaluing your words and your time. Do you mean you don't keep talking to someone who's deaf? What's the you're devaluing what you have to give if they're not picking up. If they are picking up, listening, but they're sort of slow, I guess it's a slow to I guess agree with it. But if they are listening, I guess it's a different story. But if they're completely deaf to it, there's there's a point where you draw the line, I guess. You say, how, what was your question? How do I know my truth is right and theirs isn't?
So how do you in that moment decide who's right and who's wrong? If they believe that they're right and you believe that you're right, like who's right then? Where is the truth?
Well, if it comes down to, right, here's all the evidence, and this is everything that needs to be said about the subject laid out in front of you, and two people get one thing, and if two people read it or look at the evidence, one person gets one thing, another person gets another, and there's nothing to change the ways. There's not much you can do about that.
I mean,
if it goes back to the thing, truth is that which agrees with reality. Is it agreeing with reality? If it is agreeing with reality, then I'd say it would be true.
I would say that was originally how it was, but in this day and age,
what do you mean?
People are just like in their own sort of realities. People are like, well, I want this. I want to be this way. I want this to be that way.
What do you mean?
That's my truth. That's what I want to be because it makes me feel comfortable and nobody else can tell me otherwise. I'm just saying that, yes, you could throw all the evidence, all the truth, all the reality you want at someone, but that's ultimately not gonna like. Look at atheists. All right, why do we still have atheists if we've got so much evidence for Jesus Christ? We've got resources. We've got so many believers. We've got all of this, and that. The reason why people still don't believe is because it's just downright refusal. I think in order for truth to really be truth, there has to be acceptance. There has to be a change. There has to be that born again attitude that you were talking about. So you could, I mean, I became a Christian through evidence. So, but there is something else there. I mean, I like to ask a question. If Christianity were true, would you believe it? Most of the time people say no. And that means it's not really a head problem. It's not really an evidence problem. It's more of a heart problem. And the only person that can deal with heart problems is God. So to answer the question that I gave you, what happens if you just are at that stalemate where you all believe in your own truths? That's where God comes in. Because Jesus said that he is the way, the truth, and the life. That's where he does the works. He leave it to him if you do get to a stalemate. Because prayer is all you can have at a stalemate. And I think that's one of the best things about being a Christian. We do get stalemates. We do get conflicting areas in our lives where we just feel we can't get any more ground. That's where prayer comes in, and that's where prayer is most powerful, I think.
Very interesting. So I'm going to go to the sort of last part of this. Why tell the truth? Why would it benefit me? So I'm going to say a few things here. Your soul will reject the tyranny of your will. I don't know who I'm quoting there, but anyway,
that's what it says.
That's beside the point. Your soul will reject the tyranny of your will. this goes back to the conscience kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you think. Do what you know to be true. Regardless of the consequences, because you may rationalize something, which will be your will to do something. But if you disagree with it so deeply, it's no good can come from that. Another thing, it's the same thing, I guess. Don't say things that make you weak. So if you're not embodying this truth I'm saying about, then you're saying things that make you weak. Because if you're not, if there's no basis to your words, if your words aren't really what you believe in,
if your words aren't set in a foundation,
there's no
of truth.
foundation in that. Friedrich Nietzsche said, a man's worth is determined by how much truth he can tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this strength that comes with truth, and that idea of it. And then I guess to close up with the idea, going back to speaking, and how we humans can bring different realities into being just through words. God spoke the world into existence. We should be careful with that. Our
Mm-hmm.
tongues are like swords.
Yeah, they're so powerful. They can just change the perceptions and perspectives of so many people. I mean, even speaking in this podcast is changing people's perspectives on different things, maybe confirming perspectives on different things. We can never know that, but you listening do. And once you really think about it, the ears in which your words go through, and the brain in which function between those ears, it's really quite interesting to think about just how far our words can go.
Yeah. One person made a difference with his words. So I think that's us for this episode.
Thank you so much for listening to episode 2 of Accessory to Thought.
All right, goodbye.
Bye bye.